Welcome to the show. Ain't Gonna Hurt Nobody podcast, episode 36.
36.
Jerome Bettis was on the bus.
Go round and round.
So, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a while since we've given you something, but definitely are happy to be back with something good for you. Want to just tell a quick story. Was doing a work event in New York City a little while ago for Rock Nation, and got the pleasure of working with Emory Jones. And I was a new dad at the time, and I made a comment to the effect, man, no one told me how hard this fatherhood job would be. And Emory quickly responded, hey, it's not a job, it's a responsibility because you can't quit being a parent. He was like, my kids are more work now that they're grown than they were as kids. And then
dropping gems.
It struck me. Fear just struck me because,
Fear.
you think once you're 18, you're out of my doors, out of my life.
Yeah.
But the reality is that's not the case at all. So going to dive into that a little bit more. The idea you can't quit being a parent.
You can quit your job. Yeah, we said that in unison. Because I always, like, anybody who works with me at my job knows, like, I get super irritated when people be like, when you're in a meeting and they're like, we're a family. Let's meet as a family. I'm like, y'all ain't my family. Y'all my coworkers because I can take off. I can't take off from my family. I can't, call in sick from my family. But what's so interesting, I never connected that to parenting. Because sometimes even as a mom, I'm always like, okay, I do my 9-to-5 job, and now let me go home and do my second job. Like, I hear a lot of moms be like, yeah, I got one job, and then I got my job at home.
Yep.
But the way he phrases it, it's like, it's really not even a job, or how people are corny. It's like, it's not a job, it's a calling. But whatever you think, how you think of it is what you do.
Yeah, and then I think when you dig in deeper, the point he was really trying to hit home, it never stops.
Yeah, it never stops.
Now when you have a newborn potty training, you're in the trenches, but the job really never stops. And a point you made about, how jobs and, some of your other organizations will refer to you as family. You don't choose your family. You can choose your friends.
And your job. You can choose your job.
But you don't choose.
That's so true.
And once you make the commitment to having a kid or going through the process to have a kid, like, you're in it.
You're in it, like forever.
You can't withdraw. Especially in some of these southern states, you definitely can't withdraw that application. Once you hit the send button, it's in there, no matter what.
It's just it's so interesting. So let's get into our points. I could go on and on just about what we just said already, but I think like the first thing is like with a job is like you're doing a job search. There's technically, maybe if you're adopting a child or something, or you're doing a surrogate, I don't know, you can kind of search and like set everything up perfectly. And I feel like some people really do plan out their pregnancies and stuff, and it's similar to a job, but you still can't 100% like pick it out. Like with a job, you're going to be like, okay, I'm tired of this job. I need a new job. First, you're going to do the job search. You're going to find a job that meets the requirements. Then you're going to submit an application, attach your resume. You can't predict when they're going to reach out to you, but you can say yes or no when they ask you to interview. And then at the same time, like even when they give you your offer, you can say yes or no. Like being a parent, I know for us, like we kind of talked about it, kind of didn't, but it wasn't as succinctly planned as like your job. Like, so when people say like, oh, it's a job, I feel like that connects to what you said earlier.
Yeah, I think the one thing, too, to talk about, right, like the planning, you can plan your pregnancy as much as you want. I know I have friends who intentionally plan to have their kids after the school cutoff because they want their kids to have that 11 to 6 month advantage developmentally in their toddler years. You can do IVF, you can, whatever, find out when somebody's most fertile. Like we can tell you from experience 2 times that you can't plan exactly when your children are coming. They're going to come when they're meant to come.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the one thing. In that, in that way, jobs are similar. You could apply for a job 1 million times, and it's usually going to come to you when you're least expecting it. There's been surefire shots where you're about to get hired by this company and it doesn't happen. And there's been other times where you get a unsuspecting call and you're flat-footed. The next thing you know, like, how did I get this job?
And at the same time, too, they might not get back to you for like 6 months. You like, I applied to this job 6 months ago.
Exactly, right.
And also with the planning, unfortunately, too, like people have miscarriages. People,
Yes.
you know, their baby maybe stillborn. Like there's so many like things that can happen that are just so and they're sad. Like no one's saying that, but it's just so much more that's out of your control with a baby than like a job.
100%. I mean, I could tell you, we were off birth control for almost,
I think, a year and a half.
yeah,
It was a
like
long
18
time.
months. And then, so the idea of like having a baby kind of escaped us. Like, oh, shit, that can happen.
And I know for some it's even longer, so I don't even want to be like, it was a long, that's like, you know, relative.
Yeah.
But still, it didn't, like, my mom was like, we fertile women. You gonna get pregnant right away. And it just didn't work like that. Like, I literally thought it would be like, bang, boom, pregnant. Like, it wasn't like that.
Yeah, it was so long that we almost forgot that was
and that's another episode.
Yeah. That'll be a whole nother episode once we found out we were pregnant.
Dang. Okay, so let's move into our next point. So also, like with the job, you know, you can with most jobs, give or take, you can punch in and punch out.
Yep.
We all know as parents, like, I literally just yelled at my kids yesterday about how they woke me up out of my sleep and how irritated and how I only got 5 hours of sleep. But they was there. Like, they was there ready to go. Like, with a job, you kind of can, you know, you have your start time. You know, you have your end time. You might have a crazy job where you work all the time, but even with a job, you know there's seasons. Like my job is busy in the summer. Okay, cool. But with kids, I can't predict the seasons. I can't predict what's gonna happen. And I definitely, if I punch in and punch out, it's like people will be like, you negligent. Like you'll be negligent.
Or you'll see it on the back end, right? With the kids and how they behave the rest of the time. There's no sick days from being a parent, because if you're sick, especially with young kids, they still need to get fed. They still, you know, if they in diapers, those diapers still need to be changed. And don't let you get sick while your partner
sick too
is either sick or actually like away, like on vacation or away for work. You're still filling in. I never forget, there was a time you went to, I think you went to Vegas.
I'll take it. Okay.
I think you went to Vegas. And I remember the first night you went away, I got sick, and I never called to tell you, because I'm like, you know, this is her first time.
That was a good husband.
And I didn't call, but I definitely called my sister. I definitely called Tina. She came through to like hold it down. It was like a, you know, one of those 24-hour bugs. So she came through and hold it down. But without her, I think you were pregnant with Bella, so it was just chance.
Yeah, I know for a fact I was pregnant. Yeah. When I went to Vegas, I was like, shit, why am I pregnant? Yeah. Like, damn.
And then I don't think I ever told you, but yeah, it came around and I got the help and support I needed to, you know, make sure he was taken care of, because if you don't, you'll feel it, or if you go too long, or, you know, hell, if you go too long without changing a diaper, you'll have to deal with diaper rash. So you open a whole new
always consequences.
Can of problems. Or if you go too long in between meals, you think, oh, they'll just sleep it off. Like, no. They won't go to sleep at all. You feel it that way. Or if it's something at school and there's an issue that they're having with another kid or with the teacher, and if you don't nip it in the bud, that'll only get worse, because it'll get them off their square, and they'll start to have behavior problems. So there's no punching out. Like, you're on call 24/7. Your kid has a nightmare.
Even after 18, for life.
Yeah, your kid has a nightmare, and they like plop their ass in your bed, like right in the middle of you two. Like, you don't even fit right here, and you took my pillow.
And it's hotter now because of you. Hot. I'm hot.
You're not only are you still on the clock, you still have to get them out the door at the same time. So at your job, you can punch in and out. You can even decide you quit. Being a parent, taking care of your responsibilities, you on 24/7, 365.
And yeah, if you do punch out as a parent, again, you are looked at in a negative light. Like,
as you should be.
No, yeah, as you should. But nobody, like, when you like at your job almost, if you punch out a little early, people be like, yeah, like people. Cause I know at my damn job, I'll be out of there at 2:59 on the dot. Like, it's almost like a reward and a whatnot.
Yeah.
No, I'm a good employee. Don't judge me, but whatever. But yeah, I'm just saying that it's a difference. So let's move
Absolutely.
on. So for our next point, Coley kind of brought it up when he was sick and I was in Vegas. It's like you can't take days off. Like even I will tell a story. I remember it was Coley's birthday. And he had like a party at work, and I got a random like stomach bug. I was throwing up like a mug. I was like super sick. And he was like, I had to call him on his birthday. He had to leave the event he was doing at work, come home, help me take care of like a baby. I feel like Chance was like, I don't even know, 6 months. Like I couldn't like move. It was like during the day. I remember that. And it's just like, you can't take days off. And if, again, like you said, if you're sick, you still got to take care of that child. Like the child isn't going to be like, you know what? Like as an adult, you're like, oh, you're sick. I'll get this for you. I'll do this for you. Like your kid just literally can't do it. And I feel like low key, you have to teach them to have enough empathy to be like, you know what, mom, I notice you're sick. I'm going to help Bella brush her teeth or something. Like if you don't teach your kid to think like that, even as they get older and they could technically do it, they're like not gonna do it. It's like so many layers to that.
I think the big thing for me here is like you don't want your kids to develop bad habits, right? Jobs you can take days off and you can backfill, or you can work ahead and try to get ahead of projects, or you can plan your vacation during slow periods. The notion of taking days off, like your kids can learn how to do stuff on their own, and that's how they develop bad habits. We ran into, we weren't taking days off, but we were taking for granted that, our son, who's 5, 6 years old, he can brush his teeth on his own, and he got the toothpaste with brush. Then obviously COVID happened, and so there was no dental appointments for 2 years. And then we got to the dentist's office. And was like,
like 6 cavities.
Yeah, 6 cavities.
I was like, man, I'm deficient as a parent.
And this is a kid that brushed every day, but obviously, like, we needed to get in there. And it's not that we were taking days off per se. We just took for granted that he was doing it on his own because we had showed him. He had showed that he could do it. He could put the toothpaste on. It's when you take days off, kids will form their own ways of doing it. Sometimes they can improve on a process, but most often than not, during those developmental years, if you take those days off, the kids are going to develop bad habits that will carry them into adulthood. So
yeah, that's a really like interesting different point. Like that's a really good point. The last thing I was going to say about is that you can't take off. It's like when you take off with your job, let's say you take a week off, you can go back and like, there's a running record almost of the work you may have missed. It's like you can go back if you see, I got 500 emails, but you can like plow through those emails. You can finish any unresolved problems and stuff. But like to me, like when you're a parent, like you might not even intend to take off or like not be there, and you'll miss like vital moments that you'll like never get back again. Like it's like somebody could be like, I went to use the bathroom and my kid took their first step. It's like you can't get that. It was like you didn't even intentionally mean to miss stuff. It's like so much. It's so different. Whereas at your job, if you take off, you could kind of like catch back up and be almost at square one.
Yeah, I mean, there's times where if I want to take the kids to X place and you're like, you know what, I'm tired. I just want to chill. Or the situation's vice versa. You might take them someplace and your kid might do something amazing and you might miss it.
Yeah, you're
and
just
it's not that you're even negligent. It's not that you're bullshitting. It's just like, you know what? I was tired and I was sleepy, but then all of a sudden you're like, oh man, they finally like went down the slide on their own. It's like, shit,
damn.
I've been invested 3 months into this moment and I missed it.
I mean, I could watch this video, but like it's so much stuff you can't even catch, especially when they're babies. It's like so much stuff that they do, you can't catch it on like videos. That's why some of those videos go viral, because it's like, how did you catch that?
Yeah,
like
100%.
It's too hard.
That's because it was staged and it was not the
it was staged.
First steps.
Do it again, damn it. All right, let's time to move on. So for our next one, point 4. So the points we did so far is you can do a job search. You can't do that with kids. You can punch in, you can punch out. You can't take days off. And our next point is the biggest one to me. With your job, you can either quit or you can be fired. But those two things you low-key cannot really do as a parent. And if you do, there will be like really big consequences.
Yeah, I think the unfortunate part is, we talked about you you can't plan exactly when your kid comes, right? You have sex, a kid can be an outcome, especially if you don't use a condom, but even with that, it can happen. But when that kid comes, it's up to you to, I think it's beholden upon you that you're blessed with the opportunity to step in and like make an, you can make your own mark on the world and you can make another mark on the world by like building future kings and queens.
Yeah, it's really true. And like with your, like, you do hear stories of people be like, I divorced my parents at 16, or what is that when they say they're
That's when they're emancipated.
Emancipated,
yeah.
Emancipated, yeah. But in the end, it's like you low key always know your parent is there. Like you always, like, unless they're no longer on this earth, you know that you can like go back to your mom. I still be going, or a parent or whoever it is. I'm 41. I still be like, Mom, make me a snack. Like I'm 41. Like people be
you're spoiled too.
I am loved. But anyways, I'll just say the point is like my mom, maybe she did think like I wouldn't be around. I feel like I'm around my parents more now than I have kids. Because it's like, yeah, it's just like the point is like with your job, you can quit and you can low key like how people like. I'm not saying I've done this, but I definitely have done this. Like when you got another job and you just be like, they're like, man, I can't wait to leave they ass because you got another job lined up and you put in 2 weeks notice and bow, you in another job. Like ain't no 2 weeks notice with parenting. And I feel like even if your kids are like, you guys are disowned and y'all don't get along, I really feel like as a parent, I've seen it where that always haunts you. Yeah. Like it doesn't, like when you, even if you get fired from a job, for some people it's like a funny story. Like, let me tell you this time this job fired me. And it's like almost became positive, or when you quit. But when you don't get along with your kids, I've rarely seen it where the person is just like completely moved on. Like they may have moved on, but it still always like sticks with them.
I think, yeah, and for me, it looks like this. Like, if you spent the time and invested the energy to do stuff when they were younger, like, the job doesn't stop. It's a matter of there's being able to quit, but the responsibilities and the tasks with being a parent, they don't stop. They just constantly evolve. If you look at the job description, you just add in another page. It doesn't go away. It just adds, because eventually the stuff you did when they were young, you get to do all over again as a grandparent. If you think about it, right, like, the things that you need as an 8-year-old versus a 28-year-old, they're much different, but each of them require their parent. With me missing a parent, I can tell the stuff that, I feel like, I was 38, 39 when my dad passed. And, there's times when I'm dealing with my kids that I can see like would be helpful to kind of get that perspective on what to do, right? So it's not a job that he quit on, right? He God called for him, but you could tell, like, those are the moments that matter. Like, you make marks. Like, we're built and designed to be raised by two parents. Like, if one of them quits, like, it can be compensated, it can be made up. That child can go on to be, a lot of children go on to be productive members of society. But we're meant to, like, be with two parents that don't quit on you. They can quit on each other, but not on you.
Yeah, and it's like, even from the child perspective, it's like the parent is missed. Like, people are, like, missed, even if you are, like, not getting along with it. Like there was periods in my life when me and my mom, like, really did not get along, but I always was, like, grieving my mom. Like, I was always like, man, I just wish me and my mom got along. Or, like, I shouldn't say grieving but grieving a relationship. Like, man, I wish I could go to the movies and we weren't arguing. Like, it, on both ends of it, it's like something that never just quits. I feel like it always like sticks with you, that either on the parent end or even on the child end. It's like, but with a job, you might be like, oh yeah, I forgot I used to work there. Like you just like, you literally be moving on because either you got a better job or, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's just, no one's going to be like, yeah, I got a better parent. Like, nah, that's like, absolutely, it is what it is. So, would you have anything or that?
Nah, that's all.
Oh, okay, cool. So now we at our final point, and I just think the main thing that makes when you say the statement, you can't quit a job. What is it? What's the statement again?
You can quit a job, but you can't quit being a parent.
Oh yeah, that's true. So like the last statement would be just like being a parent, like it becomes real to me in different phases. Whereas with your job, like some jobs, I know with some of the jobs I had, it was like you were hitting the ground running. Like the first day you set foot in that mug, like you was like working. Like it was like, dang, I only been here 9 days. Like why y'all got me doing this super big project? But that is what it is. But with parenting, like it can become real in different phases. It can change. Like all I know is like I feel like Chance's our first child, his first 3 months of life, I don't remember nothing. Like it's like a fog. Like if that was like my job and they had a productivity report, I feel like I would be fired. It's like with your job, it's like reports, it's data, it's like so evidence based that it becomes like real and like I don't know if I'm describing it well, but it's just like it becomes like this is this and that is that, like from the rip. Whereas with parenting, it's so many different phases and it just changes so much unexpectedly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, what's weird is not only does it change, but it's going to change from kid to kid again.
Yeah.
You have a job, you apply, you know what the description is, what you're going to get paid. Yeah. All that stuff. So now imagine they put more work on your desk but give you no more money, but you can't say no. Right? That's really what having that second child can become in your life.
And just can I build off of that?
Yeah,
like with the second child too, or with another job, like at least with your job, you have like, okay, you went to school for advertising. Like you have some like training and like broad thought around like what is expected. If you get a new job, like you still know like the basics of advertising.
Yep.
Like whereas with like parenting, it's like you have another child and it's like, I don't know what the hell like it's like completely different from the first one. You didn't experience this situation at all with the first one. It's almost like starting a job and not having any training and then still expected to like perform at a level where you had training. I don't know.
Yeah, but I think the beautiful part about being a parent is like you have instincts.
Yeah, that's true.
And now you have YouTube as well, because YouTube, if you don't know how to do it, there will be a YouTube.
Yeah, that is true.
I don't know how to deal with this type of diaper. Oh, butt paste will actually.
Oh, okay. Thank you, WebMD. Yes.
That's what you do. But I you know, it's like that. You know the old saying, babies don't come with instruction manuals, which is very true. I looked. They did. There wasn't one that followed. But like your instincts start to kick in, right? With work though, it's there's specific things you need to do, and yes, with experience and time, you know what to do. Again, if you see a baby crying, now that we've been through it twice, it's usually that baby is either overstimulated, hungry, or sleepy, right?
Or uncomfortable in some way. Yeah,
and you can reduce it. You can quickly like deduce, especially by child number 2. Like, oh, her head itches. Like, as a new parent, you're thinking like it could be as simple as like a baby itches. So once you try to, you swaddle, you feed, and it's still going, I'll just scratch, behind ears, behind heads, places they can't reach. You realize that with a job, you don't necessarily always get the grace to like figure stuff out like that.
Yeah, that's true.
Like you can't do it; they'll bring somebody else.
Yeah, you're
in.
replaceable. Yeah,
you can't be replaceable as a parent. Like, no, you have to figure it out. So even if you don't have your degree or your background in this, you have to sit there and just get it figured out.
Yeah, there's no benefit days. Like, because I remember one job I was at, this one lady, she literally took like, I feel like she took like 3 months off. She had like that much vacation, and then she was
sick days stacked up, and
then she came back like nothing happened. And the point is, she still had her job. Like it was like set up. Like you might be in prison doing. I mean, it's just like as a parent, it's not the same whatsoever. But those were our 5 points. Like the five points is you get to do a job search. You punch in, you punch out. You can't take days off. You can either quit or be fired with the job. And last but not least, it becomes real in different ways between being a job and a parent.
Yeah, so this is a perfect way to do our favorite segment, things we wish we would have known. So, Joy, what do you wish you would have known about being a parent, or the fact that you can't quit, or the job never stops even when they're grown and gone?
I think it's a 2-point. I know I was so nervous being a first-time parent, and still now, even with 2 kids, because they are so different. But I think primarily somebody said to me, and I always had this in the back of my head, that you can't break them. And like, I don't know why when they said that, I was just like, all right, I'm gonna just like go with this. Like, I have the tools within me to like figure out how not to break my child. Like, I can't break them if I have like deep within myself that I don't want to break them. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you had that thought in your mind, like, I can't break them, you gonna like figure it out and keep it moving, basically. And then I would just say, like, the second part is extend grace to yourself, and that parenting really goes through phases. And I would never say to myself, I have it figured out, because it changes so much. And just when you think you do, like, something is going to happen to challenge you. It's like, it teaches you to become, it's like a mirror. It's like a reflection almost.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something I wish I would have known is, being a parent. I think you hit on, both of my points. One, give yourself mercy and grace. Like, there's no instructions. It's like if you try to assemble an IKEA dresser with no instruction manual. Like, could you get it done eventually? Will it be tough? Will it be perfect? Never. Even if you have the manual.
Yeah, it's hard to do those.
Like, how do I got all these extra screws? And they never once say, oh, extra screws are included on purpose. You just don't know that. But I think you got to make sure you give yourself grace to figure the stuff out, because, the beautiful part is the kids don't know that you don't know what you're doing.
As they get older, they might.
As they get older, even if they realize that, they realize they're still okay. I think the other, they're okay, or that, hopefully now, as a parent, you realize they were just doing the best they could, or the best they thought. Yeah. I think the other part is, it's tough being a parent, and I've seen a lot of people tap out. I think the beautiful part about kids are resilient, and if you feel you dug yourself a hole, you can always come back. They're purposely made to, like, their bones are literally made different than ours. So
they literally like bouncing babies.
There's a reason that term bouncing babies exists. I'll never forget. I'll say the name. We were with I think Shannon and Mike came by with their kids to our house. I can't remember why, but they came by to our house.
Because she brought us delicious meals. Yeah, I remember.
And I think something that happened with the baby, I can't remember, and we were both up in arms about it. And we were telling the story, and she kept eating, never, like, broke stride. And she just looked at us. She was like, so the kids are still alive, right? He looks fine to me. I was like, yeah. He was like, then what are we talking about? So my point in that story was, and something like, I don't know, that just gave me ease, because I struggled. This is a whole nother episode. It was tough. Those first 3 months that you don't remember, I remember even less. But I just remember them being tough. But it just let me set in that, like, it's gonna be okay. Like your job is to protect them, not to perfect them, right? So knowing that part of it, it kind of makes the role of being a parent that much more easy and adaptable. So it's a long thing we wish we would have known, but it's
so much we wish we would have known. It's just like, it's almost never ending, because in the end, it's like, as a parent, I feel like your job is just to prepare them to be able to handle the world well. And eventually you supposed to let go. So you kind of, the only thing I would say is similar to a job, and I guess I'll close on this. Like, if you're a good manager, in my opinion, then you should be training the people under you to be so good at their jobs that eventually, if you leave, they could easily step into that role. Like, they had the skills to be like a good manager, like, because you trained them, coached them, gave them the resources they need. That's, to me, is like the only connection to, like, being a parent and a job. It's like your goal is to make them not only like a well-functioning adult or like similar to you, but to make them like better than you. And that's like what your like focus is, because that's all I got. I really don't know, but
that's it.
That's
all. So, ladies and gentlemen, episode 36. Ain't Gonna Hurt Nobody podcast. We out.
All right, peace out.